All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the podcast. So, we got a couple of topics today that we're going to go over. First, we're going to go over the Trump and Zelensky meeting. There was some verbiage used at the very beginning that was kind of promising for the relationship between us both. I'm not a huge fan of sending money and weapons over to fund other wars, but I do think that we have an obligation to try and protect the rest of the world as being one of the world's greatest superpowers. So we're gonna go over their meeting and some of the verbiage that was used in the very beginning. Next, we're gonna go into the No Kings protests. There was allegedly 7 million people that gathered to go protest for No Kings in America, which at least they're using their rights, right? Next, we're gonna go into Senator Chris Murphy, and he was just talking about how he's so happy with what Trump is doing. And if you know anything about about Senator Chris Murphy, he was not. Next, we're going to go in to my prediction for the New York City mayor race, and as well, along with that, we're going to talk about one of the candidates, Mamdani, and we're going to go over two clips that went viral on Friday for two questions he was asked. He was asked if he would denounce the phrase "globalize the Intifada," and then he also went viral for talking about international law. And then next, we're going to go into how politics are dividing America and how not only Americans can try and cool down the temperature, but especially men need to step up and actually start leading, because one of the reasons that we are in the place that we are today, I believe, is because young men are not wanting to be leaders anymore. They're wanting to sit at home playing video games and not do anything productive with their lives. So, and that's not for everybody, but that is a lot of America right now. Next, we're going to go in. There was actually two more bombings, but we're going to specifically look at the one that happened on, I believe it was Friday, but the video got released on Saturday. Thanks to President Trump releasing that. And then we're going to go over the gold price. That price has just been skyrocketing. It's kind of insane to see, but we're going to go over that. And then finally, I'm not going to play it, but we're going to go over Trump's response to Venezuela, because I think it needs to be noted how President Maduro, I forget how to pronounce his name, I apologize, but is responding to the aggressive actions that the U.S. has taken in their stance on it. All right, so first we're going to hop into the Trump and Zelensky meeting. I think it's kind of interesting, the verbiage that he used at the beginning, because normally President Trump and President Zelensky are not on the same page. They're not on good terms. They are actively always feuding, and we saw that very early on in the beginning of the year when President Zelensky came to the White House to discuss the war that's going on in Ukraine against Russia. And I think it was interesting to see that there seemed to be a lot less respect then than there is now, because now I'm going to play a clip. President Trump was talking very, very highly of him, and honestly, I'm okay with that, and I want that to continue to happen, because President Trump, one of the reasons he is so great is because he draws the respect from other leaders to actually respect the United States of America as a country. And I think that's something that we didn't have through 2020 to 2024. So I think the fact that even President Zelensky's relationship that seemed to be like on the seesaw is now up. We are up on the seesaw right now, or on the pendulum. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at what he said at the very beginning of that meeting here.
Some others, right? We're going to have a good time. December 5th. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelensky of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot, and we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin, and I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people.
Right there. All right, so that verbiage that he used at the very beginning was very, very interesting. I'm very shocked that, I mean, he called, I think it was awesome. He called him strong, and that they're going through a rough time, which it's amazing that the president is actually saying such high things of him, because I believe one of the things that is important for the U.S. to hold is its relationship with foreign countries. And even though I definitely do not agree with everything that Ukraine has done, I want the war to stop. Ever since it started, I forget exactly when it started. I believe it was 2020 or 2021. This is going on for way too long. There's too many people dying. There's tens of thousands of deaths, if not hundreds of thousands. I don't actually know the toll on that. We could definitely pull it up real quick. But before I pull that up, I want to go over like that. That's just amazing to me that we started out in the very beginning, as I said earlier, as almost not enemies, but definitely very special allies. And I think it's not only profound of President Trump to be able to, he didn't admit that he was wrong in that clip, but he's changing his stance. Before it was like almost like a parent to a kid. Like Trump was kind of scolding Zelensky in the office early on in the year, and now he's calling him a strong individual, and that we keyword we have been enduring this war with him. So I think it's very good that we're in this position, and I want to continue to see this relationship unfold. And I kind of have a prediction for where I see that this meeting went, and potentially the meeting with President Putin of Russia in 2 weeks is, I think we can get it done. Like I genuinely believe, even though that both presidents do genuinely have bad, or not, like assuming that we're talking about Zelensky and Putin, that they do have bad blood for each other, like that. I mean, I think we could get it done, because I mean, I can't imagine that either one of them, like in my head, I don't understand being okay with death. Like, I think we should accept it at the end of our lives, but especially death in war. I think that both of them do want to stop it, but I think a large portion of why this war has not stopped yet is because of the territory. Where does the new lines get drawn for what Russia can have and what Ukraine can have? And obviously, Russia has made it very clear that he does not want Ukraine to be a part of the United Nations, which honestly, I mean, they haven't been a part of it. But what theoretically, let's dive into this. What could stop Russia from invading Ukraine again? I mean, Russia has caused so many problems with so many countries, including us, especially in the Cold War. Like, what's going to stop them from going back in? Because I mean, that is a major concern to me, but I understand that there are bigger precautions that if we don't take, especially for like Ukraine coming into the UN, I mean, that just doesn't seem seem viable at this time for not considering the other countries in that are in the UN, but for US also. Because if they join and Russia attacks them again, that means we're going to World War III without a question. We have to help them. It's the pact of the United Nations. That's kind of one of the whole reasons that it was invented, right? And so it says from the AI overview on Google that from Ukraine, the source is Ukraine slash Zelensky, that the Ukrainian casualties killed and wounded, 43,000 killed, 370,000 injured, some minor, but multiple injuries included. The Russian casualties, oh my goodness, killed and wounded, and remember, this is according to President Zelensky, is 198,500 or 198,000 killed and 550,000 injured. That's pretty insane. That's actually really insane. And that's of December, the estimate of December 2024. So that's not including the amount of deaths and injuries in 2025. And then there's an economist that says it could be up to be, or it could. This only has deaths. For Ukrainian casualties, it could be from 73,000 to 140,000 killed. For Russian casualties, it could be as much as 190,000. Oh my gosh, up to 480,000 killed. So obviously, this war has been going on for way too long. I think it's time for both countries to be able to come together and put their egos aside and think about the women and the children and the men and the families that have lost loved ones. Like, imagine if you came home and your girlfriend or your wife or your kids weren't there anymore. And for our female listeners, if your husband and your kids weren't there because of a war that was going on that was out of your control. And I think that's one of the most important things to me, is that, like, if you actually think about not just the name Ukraine, but if you think of the people that are actually involved in it, like there were young men that were pulled from their homes to come and fight this war just because President, and I think it's important to have respect for all leaders, even if I don't agree with them. I am not a Putin sympathizer at all. However, I don't. I just need them to put their egos aside. It seems like both of these men in this that are the presidents of Ukraine and Russia are very strong-willed, and I think I can't believe I'm saying this, but they need to put their strong-willedness aside. And as a strong-willed individual, I think I mean the men need to come home, guys. The men that are alive, they need to come home to their children. Like, that's like, if we pull that up again, where was it? Let's see. Yeah, so if you got 43,000 killed. This is from Zelensky. 43,000 killed from their men and 198,000 killed of Russian men. Guys, that's over 240,000 deaths. I think that's 241,000 deaths. That's an issue to me. That this war is long overdue. It needs to come to an end. And I think it's unfortunate for Ukraine that we never sent them the missiles, but obviously I want, even though I do want to protect Ukraine, I do believe that America first, and President Putin made it very clear that if we were to come into this war, or if we were to give them those missiles, and they had to be trained by U.S. military, or we were basically green lighting him to know that, hey, we're in the war now. So I think it's very important that we did not go into the war, or give them the missiles, so that we did not get pulled into this war. Because I mean, this is so long overdue. It's actually kind of it's actually kind of sad that we're still here. All right, next we're gonna move on to the No Kings protests. If you know anything about these No Kings protests, is it seems to be like a whole bunch of like old Democrats, and I saw online that they're calling the like Republicans are calling this the I Hate America protest, which honestly, guys, I don't think they hate America. I just think they're led astray. And I think it's important that for especially for a party that is so against fake news and fake like just yeah, I'll say fake news. I think it's important that to know that probably the majority of them don't hate America. They're just led astray, and we have to sympathize with that. And obviously, they're probably not going to listen to you if you be like if you go up to them on the street during a No Kings protest and you're saying, "Hey, by the way, you're led astray." But we can, especially as men in America, we could turn down the temperature. We could not always attack one another based on our political beliefs. So I think that's very very important that we pay attention to. And then let's see. Next, I'm gonna pull up this clip of a No Kings protest. I think it's very interesting how there's so many people. Like let's go ahead and look at
Know
this.
what it's like to come home when you are 5 years old and your dad is not there. And I am still standing.
Well, are you all ready to defend this democracy? Are you ready to fight fascism? Are you prepared to destroy authoritarianism once and for all?
All right, so we're going to go ahead and stop it right there. But I think it's very important that we note what he just said. First of all, we're not a democracy. We're a republic, but thank you. So if you're going to be on a stage in front of a whole bunch of people, at least know what you're talking about, please. And second of all, what are we fighting against fascism for? Like, there's no fascism. If any fascism is going on, it's from the other side. And I won't even say from the other side because I know a lot of good Democrats that do not agree with me, and they're not fascists. It's just people that like whenever you call people fascists, you're dividing America. So I shouldn't even say that, and I take that back. But you're talking about authoritarianism or I can't even say it, whatever. But you're talking about authoritarianism, and guys, he's not a king. Donald Trump is not a king. We like where have we gone to where we think that Trump is a king? Because last time I checked, he was elected. He was elected. And, I appreciate y'all for going out and using your First Amendment because that's what America is for. You're supposed to use your First Amendment to peacefully protest as long as you're not burning, looting, and rioting. I don't have a problem with it, and I'm pretty sure the majority of America doesn't have a problem with it. But I do have a problem with you spreading lies, and whenever you're saying that Donald Trump is an authoritarian, that's not true. So let's put that on the back burner. He's not he's not a king, and he's not being a authoritarian. And I think it's funny that you guys are protesting no kings, but guys, America was founded on no kings. We elect all of our representatives. And even though you may not have voted for him, the majority of America did. And I heard people talking before the election, hey, he's not even going to win the popular vote. And I think the popular vote should mandate who gets in, not electoral or not the electoral college. Guys, he won the popular vote too. There were so many Americans that were fed, and it's not even like he barely won. He won in a landslide. Like it was actually, it was pretty crazy. And not to mention that Trump was one of the few presidents to ever win a term, lose a term, and then win again. I forget what the number is, but there is very few presidents that were actually able to do that. So I just, kudos to him. But guys, if we really wanted to be a part of a No Kings protest and actually wanted to make, like, not that you're not making a difference, because you guys are drawing large crowds, which I think is very, very, like, not hard to do, but I'm just glad you guys are actually using what the Constitution was made for, and you guys are getting out there and going to do it. However, guys, you're late to the No Kings protest. The No Kings protest happened. The real one happened in 1776, whenever we founded America. We shipped off the document saying Declaration of Independence, that we're no longer going to be a part of you, England, and we don't want a monarchy, and we don't want a king. That's the real No Kings protest. So if you want to somehow invent a time machine and be like Doctor Who and then go back in time and be a part of that, you know what? I'll post that all over social media. I'm with you there. I'll go back with you to be a part of that protest. But the protest that you guys are doing right now is just kind of silly. Like, there's no backbone behind it. There's no substance. Like, and you know what? You guys are using your First Amendment right, which is great. Do that. But, at least kind of know what you're talking about. All right, next we're going to go into Senator Chris Murphy, and, how he was just talking about how much he loved Trump and loved what's going on. So we'll go ahead and get into that.
We are not on the verge of an authoritarian takeover. We are in the middle of an authoritarian takeover. But Trump has not won. Our democracy is in peril, but it can be saved. But no one's riding to our rescue, and I just want to be clear with you about that today. No one's riding to our rescue. There aren't establishment responsible Republicans that are riding to our rescue. The mainstream media isn't riding to our rescue. There's no oligarchs riding to our rescue. It is up to us to save us. Now, recently, when I gave this warning that we are in the middle of that totalitarian takeover, one of my colleagues said, well, be careful. You don't want to scare people, but you guys can handle the truth, right? You guys deserve the truth, right? The truth is that Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in the history of the United States of America.
We're going to go ahead and stop there. So a couple key things I want to talk about. Number one, before I forget this, the fact that he just said that Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in U.S. history, and I may have butchered his exact quote. But guys, did we not forget about President Biden or President Bill Clinton? Like, President Joe Biden, his son alone was a red flag for the United States of America to elect him. Hello, did we hear about the Hunter Biden laptop? Hunter Biden laptop was called a false story and a fairy tale by all the major news media, probably besides Fox News. But everybody else wanted to be like, no, this doesn't matter. Let's stay away from that. That's Russia disinformation. Let's worry about that later. It don't matter. It turns out it was all real. And a ton of people that voted for Joe Biden said if they actually would have known that the story was real, that they would have voted opposite. A lot of the independents. I forgot the statistics, so I'm not even going to try. But it's kind of crazy that you try and spin this narrative like Donald Trump is the most corrupt U.S. president. Newsflash for you, bud. Not everybody's perfect, and even though I voted for Donald Trump, I don't believe that he is perfect. I think he could do better in a lot of areas, such as that he attacks people all the time. I don't think that's fair, but you know what? It's one of the reasons why people love him is that he's so vulnerable and he's able to share his emotions and how he actually feels about people, instead of looking at somebody and being like, he's such a great guy. He's such a great guy. And sometimes he does do that, but most of the time if he doesn't like you, he's going to tell you how it is. And then we're actually going to go back to that clip real quick to look at the very beginning of what Chris actually said, because he's saying that that they deserve the truth, and he's lying to them. So let's look at that again.
We're not on the verge of an authoritarian takeover. We are in the middle of an authoritarian takeover.
All right, so right there, you're saying you're in the middle of an authoritarian takeover. Guys, what authoritarianism is going on that makes you think this? President Trump is just doing his job. He got in the first time, didn't really know how it worked, and then the second time he came in, he's going like hard, like ball to the wall, like he is balling out with the amount of I don't agree with executive orders. I don't really think they should be a thing, but they are a thing. So he's hammering those out. Then he's trying to hammer out the tariffs. The courts are blocking the tariffs, which I think is crazy. And then blocked the tariffs, and then it got overturned. And now they're blocking his National Guard going into the city, which honestly I do have a problem with that he's sending it into the cities, because I just don't like it. But then whenever the thing got leaked of the Chicago PD saying that they were not going to help the DHS, I believe it was. Like, whenever you're saying you're not going to help the federal government. Now, if they were actually trying to take over the U.S. and they were like actually tyrannical, then I would fully be okay with that. Like, somebody not being okay with that. But for crying out loud, like, they're trying to keep America safe. They're just trying to keep like people in this country documented. And I think there should be a different way. I don't think everybody should be deported. That's illegal. I think we should give the people that haven't really, like, even though crossing the border illegally is a crime, I do believe that those people still have a soul and that they have a heart. And if we want immigration in this country, I think it just needs to be like a little bit easier, because people bring all these great ideas over, and like especially a bunch of foreign nations, they got all these really smart people that want to migrate to the United States of America, and I think we should be able to give them that opportunity. But I don't know. This whole situation is just kind of crazy to me. You're saying you want the truth, and first of all, you're wearing a Yukon hat. I don't like that. Go Duke. But I think you need to be honest with them and not what they want to hear. You probably don't even want to hear this, Senator Chris Murphy. Like, you're wrong. You're lying to these tens of thousands of Americans, and probably the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Americans that have already heard this speech. Like, we just gotta do better. Like, we have to do better. All right, next, I think the next is then the New York City mayor race. All right, we're gonna go into that, guys. I genuinely believe it's over. I think it's over for New York City, as you can see by my hat. I went to New York. I believe it was in July or August. Oh no, it was July, because I was actually there for July 4th. A very, very beautiful city. Very beautiful city. It has a lot of weird people, but it has a lot of beautiful people too. The culture there is something that I've never experienced. I was introduced to so many different types of walks of life and people from all over the world. It was very eye-opening to me to see how diverse New York City actually is, and I was very impressed by that. And Mayor Adams, I thought he was great. I'm sad to see him go. I'm sad that he dropped out of the race, but obviously, if we were going to have a chance of keeping Mamdani out of politics, it had to be done, because Cuomo was being arrogant and not wanting to drop out. I don't like either candidate, Cuomo or Mamdani, and the Republican ain't gonna win, so I don't even know why he's there. I think he should drop out and at least try to give Cuomo a little bit of breathing room. But probably not gonna happen, guys. Probably not gonna happen. But we're gonna take a look at some of the stuff that not President Zelensky, not President Mamdani either. Oh my gosh. First, actually, we're gonna look at the polls. Let's see. Let's look at Fox News' story. So they're saying that he has a significant lead in the polls, and then if we scroll down, it says all that gives the self-described Democratic Socialist a 21-point lead among New York City registered voters. 49% back Mamdani, while 28% go for the independent candidate Andrew Cuomo because he actually lost the Democratic primary. Guys, we're in big trouble. I don't know. I don't know what New York's gonna look like, but I know it ain't gonna be good. If you know anything about Mamdani, I mean, he is a socialist. I mean, he used words from Karl Marx, and that guy was a lunatic. And the fact that he wants to get rid of billionaires too. I don't know if it's in New York or if it's in the U.S. entirety. But one of them, I'm going to say New York, and if I'm wrong, fact check me, do it down in the comments. But 40% of taxes are paid by billionaires. You want to get rid of, you say that billionaires shouldn't exist, and you want to get rid of 40% of your tax income because you want to get rid of all the billionaires. All the billionaires are going to want to leave after this because if you're going to raise their taxes, they already pay 40% of, I'm pretty sure it's of New York. And if it's not, then it's the U.S., but I'm pretty sure it's New York. But that's crazy to me. Like, why are we even having this discussion? But, you know, he talked about globalizing the Intifada, and let's go ahead and pull up that clip. I mean, if you know what that means, if you know what that phrase means, it's basically calling
the term globalize the Intifada.
Well, I'll let you guys listen to it for your own. But
Recently asked about the term globalize the Intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the Intifada?
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights. And ultimately, that's what is the foundation of so much of my politics, the belief that freedom and justice and safety are things that, to have meaning, have to be applied to all people, and that includes Israelis and Palestinians alike.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the Intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I've heard from many Jewish New Yorkers who have shared their concerns with me, especially in light of the horrific attacks that we saw in Washington, D.C. and in Boulder, Colorado, about this moment of anti-Semitism in our country and in our city. And I've heard those fears, and I've had those conversations, and ultimately they are part and parcel of why in my campaign I've put forward a commitment to increase funding for anti-hate crime programming by 800%.
But very quickly, for the people who care about the language and who feel really concerned by that phrase, why not just condemn it?
My concern is to start to walk down the line of language and making clear what language I believe is permissible or impermissible takes me into a place similar to that of the president, who is looking to do those very kinds of things, putting people in jail for writing an op-ed, putting them in jail for protesting. Ultimately, it's not language that I use. It's language I understand there are concerns about.
all right, so we're going to dive into this now. Guys, this guy is so dangerous. He's so good at speaking. He's so good. Whenever you throw a question at him, he turns it back on you. And even though he wasn't doing it to that lady at MSNBC in particular, I mean, he's not denouncing it. First of all, it is a call to violence against Jews, and he will not condemn that phrase. He just keeps on saying, "Well, I'm gonna walk down the line of language." Yeah, let's walk it down and condemn it, bud. Like, you are not going to be good for the Jewish people of New York. You're not going to be good for the Jewish people all across America, because the Jews are going to see what you're going to do, and everybody's going to see what you're going to do. And they're ultimately, I pray to God that they'll turn against you and get you out next election, because I mean, but it's pretty clear that you're going to win. However, you say you want to do these things, and then you won't even condemn the phrase globalize, the Intifada. Like, it's not that hard. All you got to do is say, hey, I don't agree with this. And if you use that, you are being hateful. And you say you want to, I mean, you're saying that President Donald Trump wants to put people in jail for their freedom of speech. No, he doesn't. They were trying to put him in prison because of his freedom of speech and what he believed America should be and the values it should hold. I'm pretty sure it was 21 counts of falsifying real estate documents. I'm pretty sure it was, but like even still, you're trying to get him on nothing. And the fact that you're trying to spin this on President Trump and you won't answer the question is a very, very deep concern I have for the Jewish people in New York City. There was a lot of actual practicing Jews. Judaism was very prevalent in New York City. It was very beautiful to see all the different types of people that could coexist together. And even though they may not like each other and each other's ideas, they were still walking on the street alongside each other and being cordial. I think it's very important for people to be cordial and be able to live with people that they disagree with, because if you don't, I mean, look what happened to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was unfortunately assassinated in broad daylight because Tyler Robinson didn't agree with the alleged shooter. Tyler Robinson did not agree with the majority of what Charlie Kirk said, and unfortunately he lost his life for that. And we can't allow that to continue to happen. So the fact that he's not condemning a violent term towards Jews is irreprehensible and unacceptable. We're going to look at another clip that also went viral on Friday. This is also a Fox News clip. Let's see, where's that? All right, that wasn't even a Fox News clip. I'm sorry for misleading y'all. Let's see. There we go.
Netanyahu, if he came to the United States, you've been very outspoken in your criticism.
All right, here we go. And
you have said that you would arrest Netanyahu if he came to the United States. You've been very outspoken in your criticism of him. Do you stand by that? You would arrest him if he came here, if you were mayor?
I've said that this is a city that believes in international law, and this is a city that wants to uplift and uphold those beliefs. The Prime Minister...
The United States doesn't stand by the International Criminal Court.
It hasn't signed the treaty for the International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court, however, has issued a warrant for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu.
But what grounds in the United States could you arrest him on?
As it has for Vladimir Putin. I've said that I believe that we should uphold arrest warrants by the International Criminal Court, and that we should do so only in abiding with all of the laws in front of us. I'm not going to make a new law to ensure that we can actually do this.
Do you think that Commissioner Tisch would allow you to arrest Netanyahu in New York City?
I've appreciated Commissioner Tisch's leadership of the NYPD, and I think that she's done a good job at lowering crime across the city.
But do you think that she would go along with arresting Netanyahu in New York?
I can tell you that I'm going to exhaust every legal option in front of me, not to make new laws to do so.
You have said that you would arrest Netanyahu if he came to the United States.
Go ahead and stop it there. I mean, for crying out loud, guys. I mean, the fact that he's talking about following international law, guys. We're in the United States of America. United States of America. That one actually was Fox News, but as that nice lady just said on the panel, we haven't signed anything with the International Criminal Courts. I am, and he's saying he's not going to try and create new laws so that he can specifically arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. But if you want to be honest, guys, I mean, he strikes me as somebody that is very honest. Or not honest, but that tells you what he believes. Maybe not all of what he believes, because I think there's some skeletons in the closet that we're going to find out whenever he gets in and how bad he's actually going to be. But, I mean, for crying out loud, that means I understand that you said that you believe that New York City should believe in, like, the International Criminal Courts, but, I mean, You're a part of the United States of America. You're not your own independent nation, own independent country. You're a part of the United States of America. And last time I checked, you would have no grounds to arrest him. He could commit. Honestly, you'd probably get him for jaywalking. That's how probably far you're willing to push it. But for crying out loud, you're trying. Your fear mongering is working probably. Yeah, I think it is working because you got a lot of people talking about you, and the fact that this clip even went viral, that's a real problem. Because you're trying to arrest a leader of a foreign nation. Like, for crying out loud, President Putin was in Alaska. That means due to the international criminal courts, we would have had to arrest him. But that's not how you get deals done. You could actually try and humanize him, and even though you're not even from America. I mean, you genuinely do hate America. I mean, it is very evident on that. I mean, like, so many people, the United States is an English-speaking country, and it's awesome that people are able to speak other languages. Like, my father, he speaks Spanish. It's actually amazing. I honestly, I need to take the time out of my life to actually learn Spanish because I think it's such a beautiful language, and I love the culture of the Hispanic people. But whenever you're running for something like mayor, especially in such a big city as New York City, I mean, the fact that you're having political commercials in a different language that the majority of Americans can't even understand is actually to me, that says something. That says that you're not really looking for the best interests in America, and to me, that needs to be looked at and studied about how do we not let this happen again. And honestly, I think it's kind of crazy that people could come over from other countries and just run for our government. I mean, I understand that back in the days, there was not people from America. So our founding fathers did put that in so that people from England that were trying to make the United States of America like actually be America. You had to let them in. But maybe President Trump takes a look at that. Maybe we reverse that because I mean this seems to be getting out of hand, and this guy needs to be stopped. But we're about to see the damage that he's about to do for the next 4 years to New York, and honestly, I'm sad to see it happen, man, because I mean, for crying out loud, I loved New York. I wouldn't ever want to live there. It's way too chaotic, but I loved the food. I loved the monuments. The monuments were so beautiful. I walked over the Brooklyn Bridge with my wife and my parents, and it was just something that you'll never forget. It's one of the most beautiful places ever. So next we're gonna get into how I believe that we're not going to spend long on this, but I feel like God laid it on my heart to talk about how politics are dividing America and how we can kind of do a better job, especially as men, not only as Americans, but especially as men in America. I think there's a lot of language being used, and as I stated at the beginning of the podcast earlier, we as Americans, and especially we as young men and older men in America, we need to do a better job at watching what language we actually let come out of our mouths, because there's some things that could be considered true that we would, especially I'll use the No Kings protest as an example, that we could use towards the people attending these No Kings protests. That is true, but it's not going to win any hearts. It's not going to win any souls, especially for Jesus. And I think we as men in America have to really decide if we want the core and the real part of America to actually survive, we got to do a better job of actually doing our roles as men, and that's leading. Because if we're not going to lead, other people will. I mean, look at Mamdani. He's about to lead New York City to the ground. And there's so many people that are deceived by his elegant speech. I mean, man, he's such a good talker. The fact that he can turn a conversation into a different conversation with such ease, with not stuttering or having to pull out notes, is actually insane. I think it's something that should be commended for how well he has spoken. But God has put men on the earth to lead, and if we're not going to actually step up and put our necks on the line and speak up for truth in love in love, because I believe you can be kind while preaching the truth in Jesus and be loving, because God has called us to do all of those things. And I think this verse this verse in the Bible kind of speaks to what I'm talking about. Proverbs 28:1, the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion. And I think that should be our verse of the week. And probably the verse for 2026 is that whenever we see problems arise and we see things that are scary rising up, I mean, men in this country have to take a stand, and we got to fight back against that. And do it peacefully, though, because I do not believe we need to do violence for violence. I mean, for crying out loud, look at the Charlie Kirk vigils all around the U.S. I mean, that was beautiful. There was no looting, rioting, or violence. Like it was just peaceful. I think that is going to be the start of a revival in America, and I think especially. I'm 20 years old right now, and I think that people my age that are in college or not in college should really be the leaders for that. We need to stand up and show the rest of America that if we genuinely want this republic to continue going, I mean, we got to stop the political violence. This is getting out of hand. So, we should really pray that God starts putting it on the hearts of young Americans and older Americans to be able to actually be under Jesus. Jesus should be the rock of us, and we should be the rock of each other, because I mean, for crying out loud, you gotta do something about this. I mean, this is getting out of control. So, all right, next, let's see what's on the docket next, because the bombing of the submarine. All right, so I'm excited to talk about this. This is kind of interesting. Let's move on to the next thing. I believe it's the bombing of the submarine. Yep. All right. So we're going to go into the bombing of the submarine. I think we're going to talk about how, we're ramping up. We're also going to tie this in with the comment that President Trump made. I believe it was on Friday. He used some coarse language, so I'm not going to play it. But let's go ahead and try and pull that video up. I just think it's kind of insane that, I mean, we're destroying these drug boats left, right, and center, and the fact that people, I mean, the president of Venezuela has offered almost literally everything to the U.S., like including their natural resources and everything. And even though their oil isn't like the type of oil that like Russian and American oil is, it takes a little bit longer to refine. But I mean, if he's actually offering that up, I mean, let's take it. I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know if we're going to invade Venezuela. Lord, I hope not, because guys, I don't want to go to war. I think it's very important that we try and stay out of any type of war. I do not like war at all. So let's look at this bombing of the drug carrying sub. I mean, look, that's kind of crazy. I'm not kind of, that is crazy. Like let's look at that one more time. I mean, it's going like the waves are hitting it on the top, and then bam. I mean, I think there was let's see. I'm not doing all that, but I think there was some survivors there. I think it was 2 survivors. I forget, but I think it was 2 survivors. And I think it's kind of crazy that, I mean, we're continuing down this road. I mean, it's kind of crazy that we're here right now, I mean, the fact that there's a $50 million on the president of Venezuela, $50 million bounty. I mean, that's pretty crazy. that means that the U.S. I hope they're not trying to do a regime change like they have done in the past, because now that that's out there or whatever, I mean, you can never be too sure. But one thing that I do think is important is that the fact that drugs, especially in such large quantities, are coming across the border, I mean, that needs to be stopped. That needs to be stopped quick and fast. I'm glad the president is actually doing something about it and has made the cartel an actual terrorist or classified as a terrorist organization. I mean, Lord, bless your heart if you've ever seen it, but if you've ever seen some of the clips that have surfaced from the cartel and their brutal murderings and rapes and all that, I mean, that is horrible. I mean, you can't see that and not label them a terrorist organization, especially since they're killing like our peers, our coworkers, our family members, I mean, through the drugs. I mean, granted, they shouldn't be doing drugs, but I mean, it is one of the unfortunate things that we have in this world, and we gotta roll with the punches. So I think this is a step in the right direction that we're taking such aggressive actions towards protecting young Americans and older Americans. I think it's very important that we're actually doing something about it, and I would like to see President Trump kind of do more to stop the horrible drug flow that's coming into the U.S., because he's already done such a good job with that, and I'd like him to continue working towards that, as long as that means that we don't end up in a war, because Lord forbid we ever get into a war. I do not want to see our especially people my age and people coming out of high school and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to see them get drafted. I don't want to lose my peers. I love being able to conversate with my peers. It's one of my favorite things in the world, and I even people I disagree with. I love talking to people I don't agree with. It's one of the reasons that America is so great, is because you can have free dialogue and it'd be okay. You can go home and think whatever you want. You don't have to change somebody's mind, but at least you have the opportunity to be like, be talking with one another. All right, next we're going to go to the gold price. I think it's down today. Yeah, okay. So let's look at the 5-day mark real quick. So right here is what I was talking about. It was, okay, right here. It was at this was on October 20th on Monday, so this was yesterday. $4,395. We were almost there. I think this was over here was on Friday. Yeah, Friday, October 17th. It almost also got to $4,400. But guys, I mean, over the past little bit, gold has gone up so much. What this means for the world and what this means specifically for America, I do not know. I do not have a glass ball that I can look into. I just got to trust in Jesus that we're going to be okay. But I mean, this could be signaling another Great Depression, that the U.S. dollar is becoming less and less reliable, and I think we do need to pay attention to that. I mean, let's look up the gold price here too. I mean, because right now we're roughly at $4,100. We're at $4,118.80. But let's look up silver price today. Okay, I mean, oh my gosh, silver's at 47 an ounce. Let's look at the past 6 months. Literally, June 2025 or May 30th. Friday, May 30th, it was at $33 an ounce, and now it's all the way up to 47. Wow. I mean, guys, I don't think it's ever going to go back down. So if I was you, I mean, buy as little bit as you can. You never know whenever the US dollar is going to stop being the dollar or the currency that everybody across the world loves and adores. So I think we need to pay attention to that. I think it's going to keep on being on the rise, and I hope we never go into another Great Depression. I mean, I've talked to people that lived through the after effects of it, and I mean, people didn't have jobs, people didn't have food. I mean, you gotta really be watching what is going on, because I mean, it's better that you prepare, because it's better to need it need it, or yeah, sorry, have it and not need it, then need it and not have it. So I think we should start watching that. All right, so let's look at I think it's the last topic. We already kind of talked about Trump's response to Venezuela, but let's see if I could pull it up here real quick. There was a thing that I believe happened yesterday of President Trump actually talking about the No Kings protest, and I'm not gonna play it, but he posted this thing on, I think it was Truth Social, of him like being in a fighter jet releasing feces all over the No Kings protesters, which honestly, it's funny that he's a troll and all, but guys, I mean, and well, no, I'm not gonna play it, but the fact that he did that, I mean, it's funny that he trolls and everything, but especially as the president of the United States, I think we gotta chill out on that, because, I mean, it, yeah, you gotta, I mean, you gotta troll a little bit, right? Because they hate you so much, but I mean, we gotta quit that. All right, let's see. I actually can't find it. It's almost like Google favors one source than the other. I mean, I can barely find Fox News stuff, and I don't always look at Fox News, but I specifically remember seeing it on Fox News, so. All right, so we're actually going to pull up that clip of President Trump responding to the No Kings protest. Here it is.
Response to the protests over the weekend, the No Kings protests?
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Mr. President, besides San Francisco...
By the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
All right, so sorry for the coarse language, but one thing that I think is interesting is, no offense, President Trump, love you, sir, but President Trump, with all due respect, I do believe that, I mean, you say they were small, but there was estimated of 7 million people that showed out to these things, and look, they may have been individually small, but together they were very, very apparent, and I don't know how to feel about you saying that they're not representative, or that they're not a representation of this country. I mean, I don't think that should be the front runner, be like, hey, this is America, but you know, they are a part of America. Even if you don't agree with them, it's interesting to see I mean, the amount of people that went to these protests is actually insane, but Donald Trump is right. He's not a king, and he does work his butt off. He really does work his butt off. I mean, if you hear some of Dana White's stories talking about him, because he's close friends with him, I mean, for crying out loud, they're doing a UFC fight on the White House lawn. That's pretty crazy. Who's excited about that? I'm excited to see that card be announced, but for crying out loud, I mean, he's not a king. I mean, he does work his butt off. Dana White talks about all the time how he goes with like almost no sleep, and he's kind of a superhuman. So I think we should really pay attention to that. And keep following these, because I mean, Lord forbid anything ever bad happens. But I mean, guys, let's put it to rest. Let's stop calling him a king. Let's try and move on to a new thing, because I mean, this obviously ain't working. Most of America is looking at y'all thinking y'all are not even really seeing what's going on. So all right, so we're going to end the podcast with a quick prayer. If you got any prayer requests, drop it down in the comments, and we'll make sure to pray for it. All right. Dear Jesus, we pray that you would please protect us and keep us safe over the week, Lord. I pray for our country and pray for our president, that you would keep him safe and allow him not to be you would allow him not to be harmed, Jesus. Lord, I pray for the men in our country, that they would start using their voice for a good cause, and that they would use it for you, Jesus, and that they would unify this country rather than divide it apart with their language, Jesus. Lord, I pray that you would please help people that are trying to make big moves, that you would be with them and you would guide them along the path, and that they wouldn't go off of your path, Jesus, and you would align it out for them very clear, Lord. Jesus, I pray for the stuff going on with the drug boats, that you would allow drugs to stop coming across our borders, Lord, and you would please help President Trump to be able to make the right decisions for our country, and you would help the war to stop going on in Ukraine, Jesus. I also pray that even though Mamdani is probably going to get elected, that you would be with New York City and the Jewish population there, and that Jewish hate would not continue to be on the rise, Lord. In your holy name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.